Hello, and welcome to this special training update about a topic that can potentially impact every City of Chesapeake employee, the Freedom of Information Act, or more commonly known as FOIA. Joining me today is the city's FOIA coordinator and records manager, Monica Wilburn. Monica, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's get right into it. What is a FOIA? And equally as important, what is not a FOIA?
So a FOIA request is any request for public record information or public record documents. It does not have to be a written request. It can be a verbal request. It can be an email. Someone can just stop by and ask for a FOIA request. If they want to send it by carrier pigeon or Pony Express, it is still going to be a FOIA request. Okay. Now, as I said, it's only requesting documents. So if someone says, please give me copies of all the notices of violation on this property, that is a FOIA request. If someone says, I want to know if there are any violations on this property, that would not be, because they're not requesting documents.
Okay. Does it have to be written down to be a FOIA request?
Nope, they can stop by and deliver it verbally. They can call you up and deliver it verbally. What I would recommend if they do deliver it verbally is to write it down yourself and then show them and make sure that that's exactly what they want, or read it back to them.
Okay. Do they have to tell you this is a FOIA request?
Absolutely not. Sometimes they don't even mean for it to be a FOIA request, but if it's a request for documents, it is still a FOIA request, even if they don't say FOIA. There's no trigger word.
So asking for documents is a FOIA, but asking a question is not a FOIA?
That's correct.
Okay. And who can make a FOIA request? Can just anybody make one, or how does that work?
Well, technically anyone can make one, but we're only required to respond to Virginia citizens and news organizations that broadcast or circulate in the state of Virginia. Okay. Sometimes we'll choose for practical purposes to respond to other ones, but those are the only ones we're required to respond to.
I know that sometimes we've responded to national media who've made those kind of requests as well. Now, what should a person do when they get a FOIA request? What should an employee who has someone come to them and make a FOIA request, what should their first step be?
They should either contact the FOIA coordinator for their department. They hopefully will know who that is. If they don't, they can contact me.
Okay. And what will the FOIA coordinator, how does that process flow from there?
So what the FOIA coordinator is going to do is they're going to look at the request and they're going to see if I need to be involved. And then we're going to gather the responsive documents, make sure there's no information that's exempt, and provide it to the requester.
So if I'm not a FOIA coordinator and I'm not you, then I don't have to really care about FOIA. There's nothing I need to do, is that?
No, that is absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
Because you have a responsibility to recognize if you get a FOIA request.
Okay.
Anyone can submit a FOIA request to any employee and it's still a FOIA request. So you need to be able to recognize it as a FOIA request, and you also sometimes may need to pull documents if your FOIA coordinator needs you to, if there are documents that you're responsible for.
So the FOIA coordinators and also you, they're the ones who are going to say, okay, this is what we need in order to respond to this request.
Yes.
Okay. And they're also going to be the ones to say if we can't respond to it for some reason. Is that correct?
Yes. If we can't respond to it because we don't have enough time, if we need an extension, we can get one if it's not practically possible to respond within 5 business days. Not practically possible isn't defined in the code. However, we need a good reason. We can't just go, you know what, I don't feel like responding to this
I'm
today.
too busy, doesn't work.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And then what happens if you don't respond to a FOIA request?
So if you don't respond to a FOIA request and it's a willful and knowing violation, there can be financial penalties that are imposed upon the individual employee. Not the city, but the individual employee.
The person who got the request.
Right, who willfully and knowingly did not respond to the FOIA request. They can also take us to court. So in addition to the penalties imposed on individuals, we also have a lot of costs to the city with the city attorney's office trying to defend it in court. Sure. Court costs can get expensive as well.
And I know the city of Chesapeake is very clear about wanting to be transparent and wanting to respond as much as we can. Do we typically not respond to FOIA requests? I mean, is it unusual for us to not respond?
There's always going to be some sort of response, even if it's we don't have the documents. You're going to hear something. Even if you're out of state, you will be told that. But we generally do respond to FOIA requests, sometimes with out-of-state requesters if it's unreasonably burdensome to the city and would take us away from our other duties. We'll sometimes not do those. A lot of times we'll try to work with the requester to find something that's more of a compromise.
Okay.
We also don't have to respond to requests if the requester is more than 30 days delinquent in paying for charges for their FOIA request.
So we can charge people for FOIA?
We can. We are allowed to recover the city's costs in responding to the FOIA, searching, duplicating the documents, responding to it. We can't charge for any excess fees.
I see. So we can't just say every FOIA request is going to be $1,000 no matter what it is?
Correct.
Okay.
We can only charge our actual costs.
I see.
And we also, just as a matter of policy, generally waive the first 15 minutes of labor time because we're trying to be transparent.
But it is important if you're working on a FOIA request that you keep track of what you're doing, what time is being spent, and
Absolutely.
so forth.
The time that you spend and also the materials that you use. Materials aren't quite as important now that we're sending a lot of the responses via email, but if we are sending them via the USPS or something, we're going to have all the
Printed paper
copies and the postage and things of that nature.
Gotcha. So clearly there's a lot that goes into getting a FOIA request. It's not just a simple question in a lot of cases. If employees have questions about FOIA more than what they've heard today, how can they get in touch with you to find out more?
The easiest way is probably to send me an email at FOIA, F-O-I-A, at cityofchesapeake.net. They can also call the city manager's office at 382-6166, or they can stop by.
Okay, and then how would a person find out who the FOIA coordinator is in their own department? Is that list available, or?
I have the list and I'm happy to provide it.
Okay.
I'm hoping that the FOIA coordinators have made that known to their departments, but if there's ever a question, they can always contact me as well.
And again, it's FOIA at cityofchesapeake.net, pretty straightforward email address. You've got a question about FOIA, you email FOIA.
Yes.
Monica, thanks for being here today and helping us to understand just a little bit more about the FOIA process. I know we've got some other training videos coming up on specific responses and exemptions and things that we don't have to respond to. It is a really challenging subject, and I think it's going to be great to help employees to understand that. So thank you for being with us today. And that wraps it up for this training video. We hope you'll look for additional FOIA training sessions coming to an intranet or website near you very soon. Thanks for watching. I'm Heath Covey.